All right. So we talk about mechanical planning, and as you can see, there's a moment we talk about electrical installation. Just a quick tip for you guys. When we read this book and we read it again, you see there are some information so technical. And then, in my opinion, as a designer, we don't need to be so, how to say, to demand all these technical skills. Because as a designer or an architect, you won't work by yourself. You work with a team. And then there will be a lot more people involved in this process. For example, this chapter when he talks about receptacles, it's really complicated. There's a lot of information about installations, etc. But something you designer, you don't need to know so deep. We have electrical people working in a company, you definitely will be working together. And then they know what to do. So it's a good idea for you, for us as a designer, to know, to have a common sense about those topics, but the basic information, the deep information, it's not ours. We're not electricians, we're not electrical engineer, nothing like that. So this only covers the basic, but anything we have to do in a house, we don't decide by ourselves, we decide with different people, especially contractor, people who knows that we have to do, and then we need to follow their direction, okay? So to make clear, let's start the presentation. Let me first share the screen. Share screen, okay. There you go. Okay, mechanical planning. Well, as you can see, this chapter will describe, as I highlighted, the general mechanical considerations. This mechanical consideration is electrical and mechanical equipment to use in the kitchen design and plan in the planning perspective. So when I say in planning perspective, it's something you will describe, you will prescribe in your project, but you won't go deep in details about all these devices. Without a clear and detailed electrical and mechanical planning, necessary components of such a system can be overlooked. Exactly. So you can pass by for something we don't take consideration, and then in the end it can be a big problem. We can, when the project's done, the customer can come, oh my God, you forgot to measure my dishwasher, or this electrical, you guys design it together with the electrician guys. It doesn't, it's enough for this equipment, etc. So this is the moment, this is a crucial moment where we'll work together, more people, and get a lot of information regarding each equipment. And again, we need to know some aspect from each equipment, like voltage, amperage, etc. This is really important for you to gather and put in your project, because who will develop the electrical plan, they need to know about that. Unless you don't do anything complicated, you won't change anything, you just go with some cabinet furniture, it's okay. But if the customer come to you and they want something really deep, they want to change, make a new kitchen, and they want to put a new appliance because his appliance is old. So in this case, we need to reconsider every equipment they decide to use in this project, and you need to take in consideration if the electrical plan, if the house installation, it's enough to gather all this new equipment. So electrical planning. The kitchen wire and the electrical system should be designed not only to meet the customer's need, but also to meet the current local codes. Oops, again, local codes. As you can remember, the last class we talk about kitchen planning, and there was a moment I highlight the code. Most of the time in our class, all the time we stop with this with this guy, codes, all the time codes. And this is really important. Codes is something we need to pay attention in this kitchen planning, especially this kitchen planning, because safety is of prime importance in every home. And following the model electrical codes will ensure safe operation in the kitchen. Again, kitchen, it's a workstation. It's a place where we cook, we use heat, you use electricity, you use water, you use eventually some hazmat product for cleaning, even product can be flammable. So kitchen, it demands a lot care. Checking the code regulations will assist you as you determine the placement of receptacles and other wiring needs. These receptacles, there's a page only talks about these receptacles, and it's really dense, really technical. It's in the page 268. I know they sometimes it's to me was a bit confused all this information, but if you see the guidelines at the end of the book make it more clear, because the explanation will be more graphic. So, but be familiar with this receptacles, the guidelines for this specific gadget. Okay, receptacles in this case are the outlets where you plug the equipment, your device. So this is a really important information, especially here in US. Talks about the wiring. Like other problems, the old houses here, for example, in US, the house built before 1978, they always talk to us about the hazmat related to the lead in the paint. The paint before 1978 used to carry lead, and lead is really nocivable for the health. It can cause cancer. Other problem in the houses, the old house built before 1975, 73, it's about, I forget the name. It's about amiant. It's another product they used to use through insulation and cause cancer. So when we have a house really old, every time I do my quote for my customers, and then we talk about this problem. If your house was built before 1978, we need to do a check if the paint has lead. If it has lead, the installer we won't touch. We need to do by itself, etc. So in this case for electrical, there is a problem. They said the house built between 1973, in between 65 and 73, they used to use aluminum wires, and they consider aluminum wires a hazard now, because the 55% of this aluminum can cause fire. So it's something you need to think about when you go to a house. If the guy has old wires with aluminum, likely we have to do some new installation, especially if you use new equipment, more equipment they didn't have in 1973, 1975. So probably it will demand to redo the installation using copper. And this is a good explanation. Although the wire, the aluminum wire itself isn't a problem as it conducts electricity safely, the connection is still considered fire hazard. In fact, according to the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, homes with aluminum wiring are 55 times more likely to have fire hazard situation than homes using copper. So it's a type, hold this for you, and then take consideration your future job about this problem, okay? So this is the mechanical plan, just to remind the mechanical plan, and remind, I put a video for you guys. I put a video for you guys in the Canvas. It's an explanation about mechanical plan. There's a lady, she posts in YouTube a good explanation about how to design, how to draw this mechanical plan. We'll go over this video, okay? A lot of people still have some concerns, some question about mechanical plan. So look at this video, please. Okay, going back to the There you go. Steering electrical plane. As you can see, there's a guy here. Yeah, these receptacles, this outlet. Because the kitchen, it's a place where we have electricity and at the same time you have water. The kitchen requires this specific outlet. This outlet is called GFCI, or ground fault circuit interrupter. I have this in my house, and on and off it turns off. I need to go and press this button and reset. I have on my coffee maker and my microwave in this GFCI on and off. It's on turning off because there's some problems. Sometimes the electricity goes up and down. For safety, it turns off, and definitely this is really close to the sink. So there's behind this installation, there's a water plumbing passing by, because this is stay in the wall where we have the plumbing for water. So receptacles, anytime water and electricity are in close proximity, electrical safety is an issue, of course. To improve safety, the International Residential Code requires ground fault circuit interrupter, this guy here. Ground fault circuit interrupter.
Demetrius?
What?
We can only see the first slide.
Oh, let's go back. Okay, sorry about that. I'll be back. Oh, I missed it. Okay, let's go here. Sorry, okay? And thanks for to tell me. This here. I had another open. Can you see now?
Yeah, there we go.
There you go. There you go. So this is the GFCI outlet I was talking about it. This guy is mandatory in kitchen, especially in the walls where we have the water plumbing. So this ground fault circuit interrupter device protects us from receiving electrical shock from fault in the electrical device we use in our home. It works by comparing the input current on the hot side to the output current on the neutral side. So most of the house now is mandatory to have a neutral, a land line. Some old house they don't have, so if you don't have, you need to make this adjustment. And this is only possible we have this make possible to use this guy here, okay? And then there it goes. Do kitchens need GFCI? Yes. According to the 2014 version of the National Electrical Code, all 120 volt, single phase, 15 and 20 ampere receptacles in dwelling units serving countertop surfaces are required to have ground fault protection for personnel. So any other kitchen receptacle would not require GFCI protection. So if it's here close to the countertop, when you have the sink, you need to use this guy. But here on top of the refrigerator in the other area, for example, we don't need. So it's really limited, but important. In my house, I only have one exactly close to the sink. And this guy on and off disarm, I need to push the button because something happened during the night, it automatically turn off. It's good because I feel safe. I can go to sleep, and if there's some short circuit, it will disarm and I'll be safe. So steering electrical planning, again, being repetitive. As I told the first class and I told the other class, they always talk about how the kitchen is changing, how the kitchen is not only a place for cooking. And then as we've been seeing nowadays in our house, in our daily life, kitchen is a place where we do a lot of activity besides besides work, besides cooking. So communication is one of the components they ask for us to pay attention. So we need to consider internet connection. We need to consider telephone or charging station for cell phone. Definitely in my house, all the cell phones on top of the countertop. And there's a lot of wire here. My two daughters, me, my wife, and my other son. So it's a big mess. So definitely, it's a place where we gather all these gadgets. And television connections too. Some people like to just sit down at the counter and you watch TV. Now there's a just to make a observation. There's a new refrigerator from Samsung. Comes with a screen, and this screen you can see videos about how to cook, how to preserve the food. It's really interesting. It's a refrigerator with a screen with TV. So obviously, we need to have a good internet connection close to make it possible. So 20 years ago, 30 years ago, talk about TV in a refrigerator, people call us are crazy. Like 20 years ago, 25 years ago, say, okay, I take a picture with my telephone. People will laugh, are crazy. Telephone is not taking pictures. So the world is moving really fast with this technology. So everything was crazy 20 years ago. Now it's totally okay. So let's move on with the world. So another important aspect for kitchen and really delicate is gas. Again, kitchen is a really dangerous place. It's a place where you cook, or a place where you have a lot of heat, you have a lot of hazmat, and gas is one of them. Here in the US, I saw a lot of people using electrical range, electrical cooktop, but some houses still use gas. In my house here, I use gas. I'm more used to use gas. In my country, use gas all the time. And definitely because the cost of electricity is too high, the gas is still the most affordable. So you have to take consideration using gas in the kitchen. So there are two ways to use gas, to deliver gas in a house. It's not only West, all around the world. The first one is one called natural gas. Natural gas is delivered to the home through below ground piping. Okay, the city has the pipe, like we have piping for water, we have piping for sewer, we have a pipe for gas. And then this is one way to provide gas to people's house when it's possible. When it's not possible, we need to use the propane gas. Propane gas comes in these tanks. It means which requires a storage tank on the site that the meant to be replaced periodically. So there are two ways to work with the gas, in natural gas or the propane. And both requires a lot of attention, a lot of care. And then another aspect important for the kitchen, we talk about electrical, we talk about gas, now we talk about heating. I know it sounds a little bit crazy to talk about heating, especially because the kitchen produces a lot of heat, especially when you are baking, and then it's really hot. But some houses, some moment you need to think about heating, depends on your customer. So let's talk about heating in the kitchen. There are many ways to add heat to a kitchen, but it is important as a first step to take a measure to reduce heat loss. It's not only for kitchen, it's for everywhere. Because if you think to refrigerate a room, you need to make clear that room will be cold because there's no leaking of the cold air and heating inside the house. The same for heating. So they make two types for these reducing leaks. The first is using windows, upgraded windows. Most of the windows are just a simple glass, only one sheet of glass. It doesn't make the perfect insulation. They suggest to use this window here. If you want a window that insulates well, you definitely want one with the low E glass. I will explain what is this after. This is glass with a low E coating that helps reduce the UV light that passes through the window. You will also want a double glazed window, one with two panels of glass, insulating glass. So of course, it's really beautiful, it's really cool, it's really fancy, but it's really expensive. The price is not so low. So the people want to do something like that, will cost a lot of money. I suggest to use like a window treatment. So the window treatment can play this role. So the second is to make, let's explain what's low E. Low E or low emissivity glass was created to minimize the amount of infrared and ultraviolet light that comes through your glass without minimize the amount of light that enters your home. What does it mean? Because in the past, before this technology, people used to use like some block, some films, some dark films on top of the glass. Okay, this dark film, this dark película, this dark sheet, make the light, make the block the ultraviolet, ultra-red ray, but at the same time doesn't allow the light comes through. So we have a big problem in the past. You make the heat, keep the heat away from the house, but at the same time you keep the light away from your house. So you need to use artificial light. This new technology now, the light, the glass is translucent, so we can see normally. The light pass through the glass normally, but only the light. All the heat, all the cold hit the glass and bounce back. The same way the heat inside the house hit the glass and bounce back. We want to lose the heat inside the house, and the cold or the heat from outside the house don't invade the house. It's really cool. It's a really interesting technology, but again, it's pricey. If your customer wants, you need to show, you need to present the idea, but you need to make the quote. Okay, this is gonna cost. It's a lot of money. So low emissivity refers to a surface condition that emits low levels of radiant thermal energy. All materials absorb, reflect, and emit radiant energy according to Planck's law. Planck's law, Mark Planck was a physician from 1980s, 1990s, but we won't go over this because this is physics. This is a interior design class, not physics. But he states the all materials absorb, reflect, and emit radiant energy. In this case, we reduce this emission. We reduce this. We increase the reflection and increase the light passing through. So it's a really interesting material. It's a really interesting technology. So, and the other one is to make, to improve the insulation of the exterior wall. Most of the house, they have a really good insulation interior, but they, but they don't do the good insulation, the exterior. So we have two ways to leaking heat or cold air inside the house, through the windows or the glass door or through the wall itself. So it's, as you can see, we talk about kitchen planning and talk about something really drastic here, really dramatic, really expensive, but most of the time we won't do this kind of project. From my experience, I see people working here with the kitchen. I ask how they do. They don't go over all these details. They just made the organization. They just made the new layout. They changed some appliance. They probably they make some change in installation, but something like that they don't do, because it's a really, really expensive. It's like almost a rebuilding house. But the book asks us to go over this. Let's go over this and be warned about this, okay? So heating. As you can see, we talk about, in the book, they talk about these R values. What is R value? It's not in the book, but I put this material here for you to see. R values is this. All these materials, if you go to the Home Depot, if you go to Lowe's, any other store, and you go to the material, raw materials department, and you ask to see all the insulations materials, all the insulation material come with this R. Doesn't matter which kind of material it is, but always come with this R. This R means exactly, it's a rate. It's a rate they recommend for each part of the country. So the lowest is the rate is 3049, is for the place more hot, so it doesn't require a big installation for cold or hot. And the higher demands more, it's more, how to say, it's more insulation. So these it's something we can get this information. We can save some files like that to when you choose the material. For example, if you work here in California, they suggest the R30 60 for the insulation. You don't need anything like 60 or 49 or 19 because it's too low. So as you can see, this is a code in the US. In other countries, we probably have a different codes, but in the US, because they were in the US, This is something we need to take in consideration when you go to this place and see this R19, R30. So what is that? Means this, means the property of this insulation. The lowest number is less insulation, the higher number is more insulated, okay? Types of heaters. Well, they talk about types of heaters too, and then types of heaters, once again, I think most of the time the kitchen doesn't require a heater, in my opinion, but let's talk about this. We have the first is most common in US, the central heating system. A central heating system provides warmth to the whole interior of the building or portion of building from one point to multiple rooms. When combined with other systems in order to control the building climate, the whole system may be an HVAC system. HVAC, that's what we call HVAC. What is HVAC? HVAC means heat, ventilation, and air conditioning. Now, when people go to stores and they want something like a system for the house, they not only buy a heater system or air conditioning, they buy one equipment, make both heat and cold. So this is really good. This is really interesting nowadays. So we don't need to have one heater system and the air conditioning separate. We have only one, play the both games. So play as a heater and air conditioning. But once again, it's really, really, really expensive. It's something takes not only the product itself is expensive, but the installation is expensive. So, but this is one suggestion they make, the central heating system. But when but if it's not possible, if most of the costs are on a budget, we have some solutions for heating. Some individual solution like this, electrical toe kick heater. This is a small device, as you can see. Some is electrical and other can be hydraulic. This here goes below the cabinet, the kitchen cabinet. You install below the kitchen cabinet, as you can see here, and then this provide hot air, warm up the area. The good thing is, it's not so expensive like this guy here. This guy is really expensive. I should put a picture here, but I'll go on internet and I can show you. But this guy here, the electrical consume a lot of electricity, and the hydraulic doesn't consume a lot of electricity because you use water. But to make it possible to use the hydraulic heater, you need to have a boiler. You need to have a boiler system already in your house, and then you need to make all the connections. So again, the construction, the installation could be really expensive. A lot of people go with the electrical, as you can see how it works. It goes on the cabinet and the toe kick and works really well. Another system is the one they call individual baseboard heater. It's like a baseboard, as you can see, but it's a device. And they are permanently installed and typically attached close to the baseboard of the floor. They are not connected to a central duct. It's independent. They don't need the HVAC system. It's like the other one, it's totally independent. And again, it can be electrical or hydraulic. It's another solution. I never saw this face to face, but I think it's a good solution. Here in California, maybe don't need, but probably in some place more colder, it's necessary. But I don't know if I would have something like this in my kitchen. Maybe not, especially when I bake, it gets really hot there. And another system, this is really cool, but it's really expensive as well, is the floor heating system. What is floor heating system? It's a system goes below the flooring. When you install the flooring, you can install this here. Makes the entire floor warm. There are two kinds. One is electrical and the other is hydraulic. Just to make an observation, I know during this class when I talk about this system, some of you guys can ask, oh my gosh, which kind of floor you use? I know which kind of flooring, but not in this class. The next class, when I talk about materials, I can explain which flooring you can use for in this system. Okay, so this floor heating system is becoming popular, especially in the new construction when they just set it, the construction come with that. But if you have to make it by yourself, if you have to do it, it'd be expensive. So again, there's a two system for this floor heating system. One is electrical, like this here, as you can see, it's just this strings here, this wire, they became really hot. They're connected to the electrical system. And the other is by water. As you can see, look at this here. Oh my gosh. Imagine you have to do your customer have to do all the installation. You have all the kitchen design plan. So it will take a long time to install all this stuff. So it's a really, really complicated system. It's really cool, but really complicated and expensive. So to be honest, I never know anybody who did it like, okay, I want to install it, because if you have to do this, imagine we have to practically put down the entire kitchen to remove all the flooring, only to install it. And after you install it, it takes days for it to install on your flooring. So it's a project that requires your customer to live in a hotel, live in different places, because during this time here, he cannot use the kitchen. He won't have anything. The house will be a big mess with this construction. So this is a good type, okay? Everything they create is really interesting, but always brings problem. And one of the problems when I studied about this floor heating system is this here. Those systems may rise the height of the floor, because most of the floor, like a concrete base, it's really flush with the rest of the house. When you install a new floor, I will talk about this next week when we talk about materials. Usually the new floor in the kitchen requires underlayment, like a muffler, like a foam to protect against moisture, and the floor itself. So it's not something so thick. So there won't be a big difference between one room with new floor and the other room. And they usually have a product called transition, goes in between these two new rooms. It makes it possible for you to walk from one floor lower and the other higher without tip and falling. This transition comes with a slope. But in this case here, as you can see, it's not only something so simple. It has a lot device, a lot of gadgets, a lot of preparation. So probably this floor will be really high. So we need to think about that before we plan. And when you go to the companies, and the companies provide a material to explain how high it's gonna be. So it's something we need to think about. It's not only to set. We need to think about after to set how the house is gonna be. Probably the kitchen will be a little more higher than the rest of the house. You have like a step. It's not okay for a house. So think about this, okay? Another aspect interesting in the kitchen is the ventilation. This is really important. Ventilation, in my opinion, is really important. Ventilation is the system we take the heat and the grease and the steam away from the kitchen. There are two kinds of ventilation. One is called updraft. I know you guys are totally familiar with this here. This guy, it's mounted above the cooktop range. We turn off this exhaust station and then capture all the foam or the grease or the smoke. And there's a filter here. You have to change periodically, and then all this heat, this smoke go away from outside the house. This is one of the most popular and common ventilation system. But there's another one. I'll show after the slides. Okay, updraft ventilation consists of a vent or hood located above a cooking surface. Air is drawn into the fan, passes through filters, and is either exhausted outdoors through a metal duct or recirculated back into the kitchen. But there's another one that's really cool. It is here. It's called downdraft. It's a gadget. It's a device that goes behind your range. It's installed in the cooktop or adjacent on the cook surface. So instead you have this guy here on top of the range. This guy goes at the back. So I don't know how functional it is, but seems to be cool, but probably it's gonna be really pricey. Downdraft ventilation is integrated into your countertop or cooking appliance for a more streamlined appearance. Drawing air down from the cooking surface, downdraft appliance vent through your cabinetry where the filtered air is then recirculated or vented outside. So probably this will require a lot of duct inside the cabinetry, probably require some opening in the wall to exhaust this system. So it's something we need to take consideration when your customer asks to use this system here. I never saw this face to face, and I never my story don't have. But I think really cool idea. Probably it's in a modern kitchen, it's important, but in an old house, I don't think it's gonna be functional. This is another one. This integrate, as you can see, this is a downdraft. The steam goes down here. This first one is like this device. So you press the button, this goes down and this goes up. When you finish to cook, you press the button, this retrieve down and disappear. And this other guy is already here. When you cook, the steam goes up and down, and this exhausts to outside the house. So it's cool, but I don't know how efficient it is, because in my opinion, hot and steam and smoke tend to go up, not down. This should be really strong to capture all this smoke going up and bring down. So I prefer the older system, but I never saw work and cannot say it's not good. But I just using my common sense how this can be so efficient if the smoke goes up. So lighting. If you guys saw that video, because I posted a video, the BBC design rules, just remember, one of the video was talk about lighting. If you didn't see that video, I ask you to see that video, the chapter could talk about light, because this is really crucial, it's really important, especially in kitchen. Lighting is more, I think it's more fancy than the other guys. Not because they are not, I don't think they are that important. They are important. Heating system is really important. Exhaust station is really important. Ventilation is really important. But the lighting definitely play the main role. And the main role is gonna be the aesthetic. Change everything. If you have a good lighting, it not only make it more functional, but make your kitchen really more attractive. So let's talk about lighting. Because many kinds of activities start to take place in the kitchen, they will require appropriate lighting. Again, the same task. I've been talking about this since the first class. I know maybe I've been really annoying with that, but again, this is a reality now. So it's important to know when the kitchen is, and it's most important to know when the kitchen is used. Why this when the kitchen is most used? Because I have two ways to work with lighting. First is the natural or day lighting, or artificial lighting. There's a really good point when they talk about natural and daylight and this information here. Also, it is important to know when the kitchen is most used, definitely, because think about that. Imagine you talk with your customer and you like to use the natural light. You are totally involved with this new trend. Use the natural light, reduce the consumer electricity, etc. But if your customer is a guy who works the entire day and only get home at night, what's the point you made the design using a natural daylight project if the guy you won't use it? He got home late night and he started to cook about 7 p.m., 8 p.m. So it won't work. So that's why you need to take consideration artificial lighting. So this is really cool when he said when the kitchen be used. So remember, we have a chapter talk about assessing need. In the assessing need, when we go over the customer, when we talk about the customer, definitely in that chapter, getting to know your clients, they will, he, she, or they will tell you, okay, I'm a night cooker because I work most of the day. Oh no, I'm not a night cooker. I'm a retired guy. I work I spend most of the time in my house. So in this case, the natural all day light is more suitable, okay? Lighting, natural lighting. Make use of windows, glass, door, or skylight. So it's simple. Just use the natural light. You need to have windows. You need to have a glass door. You need to have a skylight. So this is a window. As you can see, most of the time the windows goes in this part in front of the sink. A glass door, which is amazing, allows the light comes through the windows, the glass, and the skylight when it's possible. So it's okay to use those guys. But remember, we talk about the heater system. The same way you have light coming in, if you don't do the right treatment in these elements, windows, etc., the light will come in and the heat or the cold will come in too. So don't forget, if you use this system, the lighting, the natural light, you need to be prepared to make some adjustment, because I think this is really cool. But in the summer, this can be like a greenhouse. It can be really hot. All this light coming through these glasses and bouncing all this light color, probably this can be really, really hot during the hot days, the light days, the summer, and could be really cold. So it's necessary to do some adjustment. Like for example, windows treatment. If you have a big windows like that, and the guy doesn't have money to buy that fancy windows I introduced to you in the beginning of the slide, one of the cheapest way to make it possible is using light windows treatment. Shades, it's really cool. You can use this honeycomb, for example. I will talk about this the next class, okay? Don't worry about it, because all these details about flooring, about tile, about window treatment, I will go over the next week. So window treatment is a good idea. We can use blinds, we can use shades, or you can use a curtain, draperies. Depends on the drapery. Be careful of the materials, okay? This material cannot be a material who get a lot of grease or something like that. It needs to be something easy to clean, resistant to mold and mildew, etc. But curtains or drapery can be a solution. Or another solution is a shutter. Shutter is a good solution when you have a lot of money, because it's more expensive, but it doesn't work as well, in my opinion, as blinds. Because blinds, shades, for example, you can adjust. As you can see, you can adjust the opening and down. There's some shade, there's some blinds, there's some windows treatment like that. We can go up and you can go down with the top side of the window, so you don't have if you want more privacy. So I'll talk about this in the next class. So this is a good solution when you use natural light. You need to do this. If you use natural light, necessarily you need to think about window treatment, okay? Because don't leave the just light get inside the house without blocking, without something we can block. We can decrease the intensity of the light. We don't know how hot it can be or how cold it could be. And all this is another material really interesting. It's really cheap, but when it blocks totally the vision, so we don't have any control. We don't have any control. We cannot make this lighter or darker, but it's an option. So when you use natural light, we need to use window treatment, okay? Okay. And then if you don't have this natural light, if your customer, he works during the day and he spends most of the time in the kitchen during the nights, okay, artificial light is always a good solution, but requires some specification, requires some attention. So we have some kind of different kinds of artificial lighting. First one is called general or ambient lighting. General or ambient light is intended to light up a room in its entirety. So we make like they say, general light. It provides a uniform level of illumination throughout the space, independently of other lighting sources. Moreover, its purpose is to ensure safe and easy traffic, as well as to create an overview of the room. So this is artificial light, is something more related to ambient, to provide a good ambient for you to use this room. But there's another kind of light. It's more functional, like task lighting. What is task lighting? It can be in the form of pendant, like as you can see here, over a table, over a hood like this on a cooktop, or under a cabinet. So this is called task light because this is the light you use to do some tasks. When you're preparing something, when you are cooking something, you need this task light, like you have a task light on top of your desk when you have to read a book, etc. So this can be, there's a lot of ways to use a task light. We can use pendants like that. We can use some recessed light to make this task light as well. Task light can also provide increased light for tasks that require accuracy, such as reading directions on a bottle of medicine or chopping vegetables in the kitchen. So that's, again, it's a light for tasking. The good thing about this light, it comes with the switch independent of the other light. So if you're not doing anything like that, we can turn off this light and keep the ambient light on. But if you need to use again, we turn on the light and use the light for that task, that specific task. Okay? Don't worry, never forget this. In my opinion, the task light requires a specific switch only to operate it, only to turn on and turn off this task light. And the environment or the ambient light has another switch only for it. So this is one kind of task light. We have this kind here, this really fancy in group, like in set, others individuals, and others different shape of task. And that's a good thing about kitchen design, about this discipline, because sometimes when we stop talk about something really gnarly, like heating system, electrical, amperage, voltage, and we start to go over this beautiful design object. This is really cool. So it's something you have to start to do now before you define your plan. Okay, start to research all this material you want to use in your project. So task light can be like this, but there are way more. I just put 3, but if you go online and Google and write task light, oh my gosh, will pop up a lot of cool stuff, really cool stuff. So the other is accent light. Accent light, its purpose is to highlight various features of the kitchen. Accent light can also contribute to the task of ambient lighting. It's more decorative, in my opinion. Accent light play this role. You put in a place only to highlight, to make accent, to make more the ambient more aesthetic interesting. But there's no function, in my opinion, in this. So it's something, it's not so necessary like the first two I present to you. This is just add value to the kitchen, but it's not mandatory. So intended to highlight a specific object or area. Okay, could be this on top of the cabinet, for example, or the tip tool, for example. Accent lights are typically 3 times as bright as ambient light. Accent lighting draws attention to a feature such as artwork, furnishing, architectural details, converting them into focal point, only aesthetic. That's the function of this accent light, only aesthetic, okay? It can be in color or can be in color, it's up to you, up to your customers. Another example, accent light. Again, as you can see, totally aesthetic. There's no function in it. It's cool, but it's not so necessary. And the last one, recessed lighting. Probably you already heard about this recessed light. Sometimes called recessed cans, come in a variety of styles. Some have the lamp located a few inches up inside the cylinder, like this here. You have the cylinder. This is installed in the ceiling. And as you can see, the lamp is a little bit inlay of the finishing of this system, this, how to say, this gadget. Some have the lamp located a few inches up in the cylinder and are closed, and other are closed and flush with the system, with the ceiling, like this here. This goes totally flush. So as you can see, this can be the finishing of the ceiling, and this recessed light is totally flushing. So it's display the two roles. It can be the ambient and can be the task light as well. A common rule of thumb is that you use one recessed light for every 4 to 6 square feet of ceiling space. This is an important rule to keep in mind when you are going to rely exclusively on recessed ceiling lights to illuminate your kitchen. Another common layout is to place lights around the perimeter of the room. So if you go online, you can research different materials who give us direction how to set this recessed light. In our book, it tells the same. So there's a like, let's say there's a common rule to set. You just cannot buy whatever you want. There's a quantity, there's a space between them, the proper location, etc. It requires more information. It requires you sit down, get the manual, you start to read before you define how many you need to buy for that specific area. Again, I set 2 videos in the Canvas today, talk about lighting, about how to choose a specific light. Go over these videos, okay? They are really important for us, for you. So that's it. As I told you in the beginning, this is the most interesting moment in this project when you start to do the planning. As you can see here, when I was preparing the class for you, I just use the topics of the book. For example, pendant light, heating, and online I went to the Google and start to pop up a lot of information. So when I put this on purpose to provoke you, this is something you have to do. If you didn't, you have to do now. Get all this information, as you can see in the book, for example, receptacles, and get materials, get all the materials. Get another information about, for example, let me see here, ventilation, and then we'll pop up a lot of information. A long time ago, we didn't have internet, so it's something we need to go out, leave the house. We need to go to the store. We need to get in touch with the company, send a letter, call, and ask them, begging to send materials, send the folders, send flyers, send manuals. Now we have everything online. So use this technology, use the internet, use because this is very important. So we start to get all this material, because this can be used in your mood board. This can be used in your mood board to define what you want in your kitchen. So that's really important to use this information, all the information the internet provides, okay? And to finalize, doing your best is more important than being the best. So I'm pretty sure you guys are doing your best. Like, I'm doing my best. I promise I'm doing my best. I know sometimes I have a difficult time to talk, to communicate. But I know you guys doing your best. So again, in this moment, mechanical plan is the moment that we start to use the information we gathered before. If you didn't get the information, start now. All the information I passed for you now, and the other in the class before that. Of course, there are more information you need to use to make the other plan, because this is only for the mechanical plan. The mechanical plan only talks about the installation, electrical, gas, water, etc. For the next class, I will talk about something, it doesn't go in the mechanical plan. It goes in the layout of the kitchen itself. Is the plan, is the elevation, is the floor plan. And then for that, I will prepare a class where I'll talk about tiling, flooring, cabinet, countertop, etc. All these elements we use to make the kitchen beautiful. So today we talk about something heavy, installation, and the next will be something like that. Let me see. Any questions? No? Okay. So was I clear when I was speaking with you guys? Did you guys understand everything I said? Really?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, thank you. So I see Alison, Christina, Fadi, Jackie, Tia, and Yamin. Okay. So far so good. So far so good. How's the project going? Doing good?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Pretty good. Christina,
Yeah, doing good. Thank you.
Fadi,
Yeah, feeling good so far.
Jackie,
It's going really well. Well, I just started it, but it's going good.
good. Tia, Tia,
Good. It's going good. Sorry.
you okay? Yeah, okay. And Alison,
Yeah, it's going good. I just started, so I'm just trying to get the hang of things, but it's going well.
good. Do you guys? I know. Do you need more materials? Because I just uploaded something today. Do you guys think you need more informations that I miss?
I think I'm good.
Very good. So if you let's do this during the week when this process will start to work. If you feel necessity for some more information, oh my gosh, I need to make this, but I don't have the information. Get in touch with me. Send me a message. Dimitri, can you give me some materials to talk about blah blah blah? I will research and send to you. Okay? Because so far I think you guys are doing great. But as you can see now, our process is start to get more shape. We start to be more complex. We start to have more data. And then that's the moment I have to send a lot of information because only the class is not enough. And then at the same time, I have this concern. Am I saying something really important for them or I just overwhelm them? So this is the moment when you see something we think it's not okay or it's not totally doesn't totally help you or missing, you need to tell me, because that's the moment when us as a team we need to talk way more. In the beginning, okay, I think I was more comfortable because we were still introducing, we were still showing all the material, all the subject, all the chapter, but now is the phase of the project where we start to draw, we start to define. So that's the moment where the team ask the manager more information, ask the manager more direction. So I think now, from now on, I'll be way more participant with you. I need to be more participant because this is the moment that we start to do the manual. We have to put all this information together. So, okay. And then I'll have to do a lot of research too, because a lot of materials I don't have in my physically. I need to go online and pass to you. So please, again, feedback all the time. Don't keep the query, don't keep the doubt with you. If you feel not comfortable with that material, if you're not comfortable because there's something missing, you need to get in touch with me. Just send me an email because I'll be more close to my email than ever. But again, I have a moment I cannot access my email because I work from 11 to 8 p.m. and during that time I cannot access my email. So I have to access only in the morning and the night, okay? So let me stop recording.